Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're embarking on a meaningful deep dive into a profound story told by Jesus, a narrative rich with layers of spiritual insight for our journey of faith.
Mm-hmm.
We're exploring the parable of the wicked tenants, the one in Matthew 21.
Ah, yes. A powerful one. Got it.
Exactly. So our mission really is to reflect gently on this narrative, drawing out those spiritual insights and connecting its timeless truths to our daily lives in a way that feels hopefully both poetic and deeply personal.
Yeah, well, what's fascinating here is that even though this narrative was spoken, thousands of years ago in a specific historical moment,
Right.
its spiritual resonance is just as clear and impactful today. It really invites us, doesn't it, to see ourselves within its framework and contemplate its message.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning then with that beautiful image Jesus sets up.
The vineyard.
Yes, the vineyard. He says, "There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard and let it out to husbandmen and went into a far country." And it's not just any old plot. The description is so detailed. God's meticulous provision, a protective hedge,
Right, safety.
a wine press for fruitfulness,
Expectation of results.
and a tower for watchfulness. It's all there, fully equipped.
Absolutely.
And this vineyard image, it wasn't actually new for his listeners. They likely connect it straight back to Isaiah 5.
That's a key connection. Isaiah 5, where Israel is God's vineyard.
Exactly. But there's a twist, isn't there? In Isaiah, the vineyard fails despite the care. Jesus is kind of building on that, maybe even intensifying it, implying an even greater investment.
And perhaps a greater potential for rejection, too. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this initial image, it just speaks volumes about God's generous heart. He doesn't just give. He equips.
Yeah.
He protects. And with great expectation, desires fruit from what he has so graciously entrusted to us. It's profound trust, really.
It really is, that sense of equipping and trust. So naturally, when the time comes...
Harvest time.
Right, harvest time. The householder sends servants to collect his share, his rightful share.
Makes sense.
But this is where the story takes such a dark turn. The tenants, they don't just refuse.
It's much worse.
They persecute, they beat, some they even kill. It's this pattern of rejection.
A brutal pattern. And symbolically, these servants, it's pretty clear who they represent, right?
Yeah, it seems to point directly to the prophets.
Exactly. Figures like Isaiah, Jeremiah, sent by God over centuries.
And often facing, similar treatment. You see it in passages like 2 Chronicles 36, that sense of God sending messengers again and again.
Out of compassion, the text says. But they were mocked, despised, scoffed at.
And the parable emphasizes that repeated sending. More servants, then even more. It powerfully demonstrates God's long suffering, his enduring mercy.
It really does. And this raises an important question for our own reflection, doesn't it? How often do we, too, maybe subtly dismiss or reject the messengers, or even just the gentle promptings God sends our way? Perhaps not violently, but still rejecting.
That's a sobering thought.
God's patience in this narrative is truly profound. It should give us pause. Serious pause.
It absolutely should. And that incredible patience leads to the climax of the story, the householder's final, most poignant act.
The ultimate appeal.
Yes. He says, "But last of all, he sent unto them his son, saying, they will reverence my son." There's this hope in his words.
A desperate hope, perhaps, sending his very heir.
But the tenants, their reaction is just chilling. This is the heir. Come, let us kill him and let us seize on his inheritance.
It's horrifying. And here's where it gets really interesting, doctrinally speaking.
Go on.
This isn't just storytelling anymore. It's clearly prophecy.
Pointing straight to Jesus.
Undeniably. Jesus as the son, the rightful heir, his rejection, his death, it's laid out here. It highlights that his sacrifice wasn't some unforeseen accident.
No, it was part of God's plan, even amidst this awful rebellion.
Exactly. And that detail, cast him out of the vineyard. It's so specific. It mirrors Jesus being crucified outside the city gates. Hebrews 13 mentions this, linking the reality to the parable's detail.
Wow. The layers are incredible. So after this ultimate rejection, the killing of the son, Jesus asks the listeners, the leaders there,
Puts it right to them.
"When the Lord, therefore, of the vineyard cometh, what will he do unto those husbandmen?" And they answer themselves, really.
They condemn themselves.
"He will miserably destroy those wicked men." A prophecy of judgment which sadly came true for Jerusalem decades later.
Tragic fulfillment in AD 70. But then there's the next part.
The transfer.
Yes, he'll let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen. What does that shift signify?
Well, it seems to point towards a new stewardship, right?
Absolutely. What's fascinating here is this whole concept of stewardship and the accountability that just naturally comes with it.
Okay.
The vineyard, see, it still ultimately belongs to God. That never changes.
Hmm.
And he seeks fruit. He expects results from those entrusted with his word, his kingdom.
So these other husbandmen,
It points pretty clearly to the inclusion of the Gentiles and the emerging church taking on this role as stewards.
a new phase of God's plan.
Right. It doesn't erase God's future plan for Israel, not at all,
Mm.
but it definitely emphasizes the church's inclusion and its profound responsibility now to bear fruit.
Stewardship and fruit bearing, key themes, and then Jesus pivots again, bringing in scripture.
From Psalm 118, very significant.
He quotes, "The stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner, the rejected stone."
And we know who the stone is.
Christ himself, rejected by the builders, the religious leaders of his day,
The very people who should have recognized him.
but chosen by God. The cornerstone. We see Peter and others pick up this imagery later, don't we? Acts 4, 1 Peter 2.
Yes, it becomes a foundational image for the early church. So what does this cornerstone imagery mean for us, practically speaking, for someone listening right now?
That's the question.
Well, this cornerstone imagery is incredibly powerful. Jesus isn't just a foundation, one option among many. He's the indispensable foundation for salvation, for life, for everything. This narrative, it forces a choice, really.
Build on him.
Or stumble over him, reject him. And the parable includes that warning, doesn't it? The language about being broken or crushed by the stone.
Yeah, it's stark. A warning of judgment for rejecting him.
It really underscores that this decision, building on Christ or rejecting him, it's a timeless choice with eternal implications.
Yeah.
He's absolutely central.
And the reaction of those leaders listening to Jesus. It's,
Yeah.
well, it proves his point, doesn't it?
Sadly, yes. The text says they perceived. He spoke about them. They got the message.
But instead of reflecting or repenting,
They look for ways to arrest him right then and there, fulfilling the very rejection he just described. It's quite chilling.
it really is a truly somber end to that immediate encounter,
And it makes you think, doesn't it? It raises an important question for us, for our own self-examination.
which is,
When we're confronted with spiritual truth,
Mm.
especially truth that challenges us, maybe makes us uncomfortable, what's our response? Do we let it soften us, transform us,
Mm.
or do we subtly, or maybe not so subtly, harden our hearts, resist? This story isn't just about ancient leaders.
Yeah.
It's for anyone who encounters Christ, an invitation to look within.
That's a powerful point. Let's maybe guide ourselves into a moment of deeper reflection then, pulling these threads together.
Good idea.
We've seen God's incredible patience, sending messenger after messenger, and finally, his own son.
Immense patience.
We've talked about Jesus as the cornerstone, indispensable, the call to build our lives firmly on him, not, shifting sands or human ideas.
The only true foundation.
And the choice is stark. Rejection leads to destruction, but acceptance, that brings life, restoration.
Yes.
So for a practical application this week, something you can take into your daily walk, maybe consider this. Self-examination is vital. Really ask, are we truly receiving the Son, or are we, maybe in small ways, resisting him? It could just mean taking a few quiet moments each day.
Prayerfully considering.
Yeah, prayerfully asking, where might I be subtly pushing back against God's leading? Is there an area where I'm called to bear more fruit, as a steward in his vineyard?
That's really practical. Because genuine faith, it does lead to fruitfulness, doesn't it?
It should.
God expects spiritual results, not in a legalistic, burdensome way,
No, not like that.
but as a natural, beautiful outflow, a consequence of being connected to him, of being built on that true cornerstone. It's about a living, responsive faith.
Well said. This whole deep dive into the parable of the wicked tenants, it really shows it's such a timeless prophetic story,
Definitely.
revealing the cost of rebellion, yes, but also the amazing grace of divine patience and fundamentally the absolute centrality of Christ
It's at the heart of it all.
and the vineyard. It still belongs to God. He's still looking for fruit, tenderly seeking it from each of us.
That's a comforting and challenging thought to end on. As we wrap up our reflection, let's just hold on to that. God's plan, it's unwavering. His patience, immense. And his son, Jesus, he's the unchanging foundation for all time.
Amen to that.
So as you go about your week, maybe just consciously hold on to that truth. The cornerstone is laid. Every single day gives us this profound opportunity to choose, actively choose, to build upon him.
Trusting his love and grace.
Exactly. Trusting him. And perhaps as a final thought to ponder this week, you might prayerfully ask yourself this.
Okay.
In what tangible ways am I actually tending the vineyard God has given me? My life, my gifts, my opportunities. And how can I lean more fully into Jesus as the cornerstone of my life's foundation? Really letting him shape every part of my journey.